Howdy, America. It's Bill Rose, founder of the American People's Liberty Party. And you know, everybody's complaining about what's wrong with our Congress and our president and the economy and a zillion other things. But nobody is saying what to do. Well, one thing I say you should do is go take pictures of these lobbyists on K Street, Washington, D.C., put their picture up on a website that says enemies of America, because they're the ones helping to destroy our economy. But there are people taking action outside Wall Street. It's been going on 4 or 5 days. There's a protest going on, and you should all go join them. And I don't know what protesters want. What they should want is to have these Wall Street bankers or whatever they are, hedge fund managers, arrested for tearing down the economy of America, an un-American activity. Now, you know, with Congress, a congressman or woman or a senator, U.S. senator or whatever, if they take money from a lobbyist, you know, isn't that like malfeasance in office, an un-American activity? These actions are designed to help crash our economy. Think about that for a minute. And I wrote some more stuff on my hand here, and I wrote down, are Republicans communists? Because if you listen to everything they want to do, it's like an enemy of America trying to tear down all of our systems. You know, they want to remove Social Security. They're crazy, you know. This is the best government program that ever functioned so well ever since we had a government. And they want to tear it down? What, are they jealous? Or are they enemy of the people? You know? And they want to tear down a lot of things that we've built up over the years, you know, like Michelle Bachmann was saying, we'll get rid of the minimum wage, which means she wants you to work for $1 an hour, you know, like somebody in India, you know? Man, anybody who votes for Republican in this election just don't know what they're doing to themselves and to their grandparents and to their grandchildren. They just don't know, and they're not informed. And somebody should tell them, hey, you vote for a Republican, you might as well just go crawl off under a rock, because you're not going to be able to live. Anyway, what else did I write in my hand here? Do you remember back in the 60s what OPEC did to America? They were forcing people to wait in gas lines and all that because they were manipulating the supply of oil and all that. And that was Saudi Arabia. And incidentally, George Noory on the Coast to Coast AM radio talk show said that somebody had evidence that Saudi Arabia funded the 9/11 hijackers. So you got to Google for that, because I haven't done that yet, and so I can't bring you more information on that. But Saudi Arabia in the 60s was our enemy because they turned the valve off so that we couldn't get gasoline. And then after that, they started manipulating the prices and all that. So they were our enemy back in the 60s. Now we're finding out they're our enemies during 9/11, supposedly. So what action could you take about that? Just demand your congressman to stop buying oil from Saudi Arabia, you know. Just stop. Let them stuff their oil. Let their desert town dry up. But, you know, in fact, it was the English who developed those oil fields in Saudi Arabia. And the Saudi Arabians decided they were going to nationalize it. They stole them from the English. And that's what we ought to do. We ought to nationalize our oil industry, because the CEOs are playing with the prices. They say, oh boy, it's going to be Memorial Day or 4th of July. Let's raise the price of gas up $1 and we'll get richer. And the stupid, ignorant public won't know what the hell to do. And they'll still buy the gasoline at the pumps because they're stupid. So I say put all those CEOs in jail and investigate them while they're in jail. and then nationalize their oil companies. Because, you know, the oil companies used to be just one big company, Standard Oil. But the Congress got in and broke them up like they broke up AT&T. So, even though they broke up the Standard Oil and made them Shell and Sunoco and Gulf and all that other stuff, they still stuck together, and they still are in collusion and cahoots with raising the price of gas at the pumps for no good reason. They're the enemies of the American people. These CEOs are the enemies of the American people, and they should be put in jail for un-American activities, for trying to wreck our economy. So who out there has the gonads to go out and do a citizen's arrest on these CEOs with some kind of a lawyer saying, hey, these guys are un-American, they've been breaking up our economy, and they're messing up the lives of the American people, and we're not going to put up with it no more. In other words, you're mad as hell, and you're not going to put up with it anymore. But it's up to you to do something. You know, I'm 70 years old. Almost. A couple more months. And for the first time in my life, I've seen the Social Security Department mess with a senior. For example, in my case, they said, when you move from one state to another state, we got to cut your SSI. Now, SSI is supplemental income that Social Security gives you to bring you up to the poverty level. So my Social Security was like $5.59 a month, so they were giving me $3.31 a month. And then the state I moved into said, oh no, you can't have $3.31 a month. We got to cut that in half. Now, the poverty level is $1,100 a month. So at no time did I ever have enough money to come up to the poverty level. So Social Security has turned into a bunch of Tea Party Republican cutters, you know. And but don't worry, I've written to a lot of senators and organizations. They're all going to go after that guy who caused that problem for me in the Social Security office locally. Then they also said, well, California gave you Part B Medicare. Well, we don't give Part B Medicare in this state. Wait a minute, I thought I lived in the United States of America, right? And this little shithole state is saying, you know, we're going to take that away from you? That's a federal thing. That's not, what does the state have to do with that? You know? I don't understand that. But anyway, I had to sign a paper, because if I didn't sign the paper, they would make me pay it back for 2 years and take it out of my $5.59 a month, meaning I would live on $200 a month, and they cut the SSI so that I only get like $100 a month, so I would have to live on $300 a month. This is the first time in history, to my knowledge, that Social Security has ever screwed with a senior who was already in, the system. Well, I think it's down to one guy in that office over there locally, and people are going to be coming after him, legally. So I just sit here and wait and see what happens, and hopefully they'll get rid of him, and but he can't do that to any other seniors. Well, that's all I've got to say for this video, folks. Write in Tom Hartman for president. If you live in a state where they don't allow write-in votes, go insist that they allow write-in votes. Write in Tom Hartman for president, and everything will come back to normal within 6 months. That is, if we're not already in a depression, and we're not already in World War III, which looks like we might be heading into, for whatever reasons that the government decides they want to do it, Like they're saying, well, Saudi Arabia did 9/11 or funded it, and they're saying the Iranians are doing this and doing that, and that Israel might attack them, and then we might have to help Israel, and blah, blah, blah. Things are crazy. This is crazy times.